Hello and welcome to Balanced Existence. Today I'm bringing to you another channeled message. So if you're coming across this video, I trust that there is something here for you. And thank you to all the subscribers. I'm so excited to see the channel grow and see the collective and the community begin to form. So as always, I would love to hear from you in the comments, anything that might resonate or any contributions you'd love to add. Today's message is following my previous video, which was about the importance of rituals, especially for the divine feminine collective that is seeking and setting strong intentions to nurture their divine feminine energy, especially for those that neglected it for several months or years even. Today, I want to talk about heart-aligned emotions. So if you haven't already, I recommend checking out the video about rituals for the divine feminine, because we speak on the importance of the experience and simply existing, simply being, rather than the doing part of the routines. And so a routine basically becomes a ritual when you take the time to observe and feel and recognize the experience for what it is, and then to feel gratitude. And this is that unconditional love, unconditional acceptance, and that gratitude for the experience, regardless of if it's challenging or joyful. So the ritual is key because it turns it into a meditative experience. It turns it into a sort of flow state. And I want to speak on the emotions that come up or the feelings that we feel as we navigate and go through different experiences in life, especially the experience of rituals. So heart-aligned emotions are the language of your soul. And it doesn't mean that they're only the positive emotions, because a soul-aligned or heart-aligned emotion can be either positive or negative. And you can also have more egoic emotions, or kind of emotions that come from the egoic stories or narratives of our mind. And those can be positive or negative. You could have a positive emotion that's stemming from feeling the need for external validation or filling a void, which is rooted in some kind of fear or shame. You could have some kind of anxiety that's not your true self, but is simply a emotion resulting from a negative thought spiral, right? Like, these are not heart or soul aligned emotions. And so we want to distinguish between heart aligned emotions versus those more egoic or reactive emotions that originate from your mind or a dysregulated nervous system or your wounded inner child. I speak on the connection between the inner child and the higher self and the present self in another video, which I'll link below. But those could be emotions like fear or panic or a sense of urgency or some kind of longing or jealousy or a pain from abandonment or neglect. Those are trying to protect you, protect your nervous system, protect your survival needs, but they are not guidance for your soul. They're just protective signals. They're like emotional data. They're emotions that are encoded from past experiences, which again, we talk about in that video about the triangle between the inner child, present self, and higher self. So because the inner child has a lot of data that's encoded from past experiences, which are not the true soul-aligned reality, it's important for us to be able to recognize when it's those emotions that we're feeling, and to always make room for and open ourselves to and invite in the emotions that are heart-aligned. And so the heart-aligned emotions arise when the present self is regulated, the heart is open. So this can be feelings of peace, clarity, contentment, quiet, joy. And it's these feelings that come without any kind of attachment. The heart-aligned emotions can also be a sadness that is grounded, because the heart-aligned emotions operate on truth. So they can still feel heavy, they can feel tender, they can feel sorrowful, they can feel sobering, but they won't feel chaotic. So if you're experiencing a grief or a sadness that's teaching you release, that's a heart-aligned emotion. But if you're experiencing some kind of emotion that's based on some kind of unhealthy attachment, then that's stemming from your ego or your wounded inner child. Similarly, you may have a heart-aligned emotion of anger, and it's not one of cruelty or revenge, but it's one that's intending to clarify your boundaries and show you what's important to you, right? It's guidance for your soul. It's guidance for your soul's journey. Another example could be some kind of disappointment you experience that doesn't necessarily lead you down some collapse or negative spiral, but reveals some illusion to you or reveals some truth that gives you clarity and that gives you a sense of direction moving forward. It's a piece of information that allows you to move forward in a more aligned way on your path. So whatever this heart-aligned emotion is, it's not going to cause you to blame yourself or have negative self-talk or grasp or long for some external thing in a desperate way. But rather, the heart-aligned emotions are going to allow you to obtain some kind of clarity or allow you to honor some experience and recognize what matters to you or what does not matter to you. And it's important, as we talked about in the previous channeled message about the divine feminine and the importance of rituals, it's important for us to accept the duality of the world for what it is, and that as a human on this earthly physical plane, we are going to experience joy, we are going to experience grief. And we're not at all trying to bypass emotions. We want to feel the emotions, and that's why it's important to recognize that some of these soul-aligned emotions will be what our ego considers to be negative, like sadness, grief, or anger. Because if the soul only spoke to us through positive emotions like joy, then we would bypass half of our growth. We're not meant to escape or bypass negative emotions. And of course, we're speaking in positive and negative because that's the easiest way in this, egoic world of duality that we live in to categorize them. But on the spiritual realm, there is no negative or positive because everything is contributing to our soul's evolution. When we return to that single source of consciousness, there is no duality. There is no good or bad. It's simply your soul being one with all of consciousness. I know we're getting into very quantum energetic perspectives, but I just want to make clear the difference between the physical world we live in and the egoic classifications like positive or negative versus, the overarching consciousness or God or divine source energy, whatever you wish to call it, that we all come from, through which the purpose is to evolve our souls and evolve the planet. When you hear that the earth is undergoing an ascension, this is very much a spiritual awakening that is happening within you, within your soul's journey, and then rippling across the planet. So now that we kind of understand the spectrum of soul-aligned or heart-aligned emotions, And we understand that we are meant to fully feel to completion all emotions and use these emotions to learn and evolve on this journey. Another point I want to make about heart-aligned emotions is that they are going to allow you to slow down. There's always going to be a sense of peaceful, calm, even neutral energy about a soul-aligned emotion once it's been processed, of course. So once you process the emotion, the soul or heart-aligned emotion, and you get to that place of clarity, you've gotten yourself to a deeper place of self-knowing, self-awareness, self-trust, self-respect, whatever the lesson was meant to be. And you're going to close cycles as a result, and you're going to feel more grounded. You're not going to feel overwhelmed. You're not going to feel attached. You're not going to feel chaos, panic, urgency. You're not going to feel the need to fix or change or chase something. You're not going to feel that emotional spiral or resentment. There's none of that. You're not going to feel rushed. You're not going to abandon yourself. It's not going to feel loud. So if you are feeling an emotion that feels like those things, that's okay. But it's important and helpful to know that it's not a soul-aligned emotion. So you can ask yourself, does this emotion ask me to override and abandon myself? Or is this emotion asking me to honor myself? Because the soul will never ask you to betray your nervous system. The soul will never ask you to bypass anything that you're meant to be feeling or experiencing. Again, there will never be a sense of urgency through the soul. The soul speaks through a resonance, something that feels true. And even if it's uncomfortable, it's true and it's for your highest good. And when you come to that conclusion and you go through that processing of the emotion, you see the purpose, the mission that the emotion served for you. So there's a sense of peace after processing the heart-aligned emotions because you've gotten honest with yourself. These emotions have led you back to yourself, back to your boundaries, your integrity. And that is a feeling of cleansing, a feeling of calm, even if it's uncomfortable for a time being. And so as we heal and we step into our sovereign power, this isn't just about following our emotions and feelings blindly, but you've gotten to a point where you can discern which emotions are serving you, and you can turn your attention towards the emotions that are serving you and that are meant to be processed for your highest timeline, for your soul's evolution. And by doing so, you create a safety, a safe space, and you use the wisdom and the guidance from your higher self to know how to approach and manage and process these emotions. And again, I'm going to refer you back to that other video about the triangle, but the triangle relationship between the inner self, higher self, and present self, because they're all working together to help you tap into those heart-aligned emotions, recognize them, process them, all for your soul's highest good. And if you're not at that place of calm truth, that resonance, that stillness, then it simply means that there's still more processing of the emotion that needs to be experienced. And the more grounded we are in our present self, the better we are at doing this, the more capable we are of processing our emotions. So all of these practices that we do, meditation, journaling, the rituals we spoke about in the previous video, it's all to open ourselves and surrender ourselves to that flow state. And when we're able to reduce that mental chatter and practice that self-care, then we become a master of ourselves. We become a master of processing these emotions. And when the present self becomes so skilled at this, you're in such a coherent and aligned synergy between the inner child and the present self and the higher self. And this is why our somatic work is so valuable and healing, because this is the process of soothing and nurturing and healing our inner child. So I hope now you can see the importance of understanding heart-aligned emotions and how it's contributing to your overall healing and soul's evolutionary journey. And I would love to hear from you in the comments as always. If you want me to make any more videos on a certain topic, I'm open to everything and anything you're willing to share. And as always, I will see you on the next video. Thanks for listening. Bye.